Hello everyone and welcome to my review of Duke Nukem 3D. I'm reviewing the Xbox Live Arcade version, which was released in 2008. However, the original game was developed by 3D Realms and this was released in 1996. Duke Nukem 3D basically tells the story of an alien invasion on Earth, and mankind's only hope lies with the incredibly cartoon and over-the-top character called Duke Nukem. Duke Nukem seems to be an amalgamation of different types of action heroes, from sort of Arnold Schwarzenegger through to Ash out of Evil Dead and various others as well. He's sort of a big-headed braggart, goes around with sunglasses on and peroxide blonde hair and shooting everyone and blowing everything up and coming out with quips and one-liners, Arnold Schwarzenegger style. Similar to other games that were sort of released around this time, the main game itself is split into a number of episodes. These are LA Meltdown, Lunar Apocalypse, Shrapnel City and The Birth. And each one of these gets progressively more difficult, so those players who played, for example, the likes of Doom and Doom 2 will know exactly the kind of format that I'm talking about, where each episode kind of starts you off with very limited weapons but gets progressively more difficult the more episodes you sort of go along in. And Duke Nukem was kind of revolutionary in its time due to the interactivity that you have with the environment. And what I mean by this is, as you can see here, there's switches, you can break windows, there's lots of things to pick up, there's hidden bonuses and so on and so forth. Certain elements of the environment are destructive, like I said, the windows. There are some walls with cracks in which can be blown up to reveal secret areas, and there's also a number of pickups as well. Some of them being like jetpacks, for example, which enables you to take off into the air and fly for a limited amount of time. It's also presented in what was for its day as best as damn it 3D as you could possibly get on the sort of limited powered PCs that were around then, certainly limited compared to what they are today. By that I mean there is actual access for looking up and down and so on, which wasn't present in the Doom games. If you remember back to Doom, if you've ever played a version of Doom that's not been updated in any way, shape or form, you can't actually look up or down in those games. It's the vertical axis is actually fixed, but that wasn't the case with Duke Nukem 3D. I'm pretty sure it wasn't the first game to introduce the ability to look up and down in a game, but it certainly was one of the big mainstream games that did take really good advantage of it. Like I say, I'm pretty certain it wasn't the first. Off the top of my head, I've no idea what the first game was that used the up and down y-axis. I think it's the y-axis anyway, for you to be able to look around and shoot at the bad guys in. But he certainly made very, very good use of it, because you did get accosted by airborne bad guys. There was levels where you could swim underwater if you've got the scuba diving gear, which you can pick up. So there was actually quite a lot to do in the game. Sort of more so than most of the first-person shooters that were coming around at that sort of period. It really did build on what was already out there. Unfortunately, and I say unfortunately, one of the main areas of the game was the controversy that came out with it. The game does have naked or semi-naked clad women in it. It is a sort of no-holds-barred game. You can't really accuse a Duke Nukem game of ever being tasteful, shall we say. But it was a game that was aimed at adults. It was a game that it was specifically trying to sort of target an audience which the Doom games had appealed to. It was a more mature game. It had a very sick and dark sense of humour, which it just really pushed to the forefront. For example, the police in the game that were going around wearing the LAPD outfits were sort of boars or pigs. You know, it's just sort of little bits of humour like that in the game that really did sort of set it apart from many others. But like I say, it did get its fair share of controversy. You know, I suppose really due to the extreme sexist nature of Duke Nukem himself. The game certainly doesn't make any apologies whatsoever for those type of influence, you know, for that type of influence that it has. But it actually doesn't stop it being a very, very good game. And although it is tasteless, there's no two ways about it. I mean, it is a tasteless game. It is also a very, very good first-person shooter. It does take a nod to a lot of the genres it takes influence from. I mean, you'll see in a moment an actual nod to Doom itself, with the dead Space Marine character from Doom. I say that'll be coming up shortly in a few moments. I'll point it out when it appears. And it had other sort of pop culture references within the game as well, that was sort of around at that time. But like I say, the 3D mechanics and the gameplay itself actually did work, and that is, at the end of the day, that's the all important thing. If those mechanics in the game do work, then you've got yourself a good game. And that's exactly what was here. I mean, just forgetting all about the controversy and so on and so forth, Duke Nukem 3D is actually a really, really good game. There's not really a whole lot else you can say about Duke Nukem. There's the Space Marine, by the way, out of Doom that I mentioned before. That's just like one of the references. It is good at what it does, and it's sort of heralded an age really where there would be a greater interactivity in first-person shooters between the player and the environment, whereas before the environments just tended to be nothing more than there for pure cosmetic purposes. In Duke Nukem 3D, the environment served quite a purpose as well. The weapons that Duke Nukem can get hold of are typically over the top, like this ridiculous weapon here that he's got. You know, you have your standard pistol, your shotgun, but like the machine gun you get is like got 3 barrels in it, and this is like some sort of twin rocket launcher and God knows what. All typical over the top stuff that really does suit the personality and the character of Duke Nukem very, very well. The other thing you can say about this game, other than controversial moments like that, he says in inverted commas, is it is very, very tough. Even on the easy difficulty levels, there's more than a challenge here. You know, bad guys don't pull any punches. There's not as many of them as you could face, say for example in Doom, where you can open the door and there'll be 10, 15, 20 bad guys all coming at you at once. But the bad guys in this, as individuals, are far tougher. You know, the minute they clap eyes on you, they attack you, they shoot at you. There's very few weak bad guys in the game, so you have to be on your toes at all time. And even as I said, on the easy difficulty levels, there's still a hell of a good challenge here in the game. It does make it extremely enjoyable and an extremely tough and challenging game as well. It's nice to come back to a game like I've done playing the Xbox Live version after so many years after playing the PC game, and forgetting quite a few bits of the game itself, and actually getting to play it, actually getting to grips with the game, getting to play it again on a new system, and actually just realising what a tough game it actually is, and what quite an unforgiving game it actually is. You know, it presented quite a lot of a challenge. One of the things I found going back and playing Doom, because I'd played the game to death and I knew the levels so really well, I mean, I was just straight away ramping Doom up onto the highest difficulty setting and still getting through the game relatively easily, apart from a couple of really difficult levels. But I found I had to scale the difficulty down playing Duke Nukem 3D, you know, because it was such a tough game. Anyway, to round up, yeah, Duke Nukem 3D is available on Xbox Live Marketplace, and it comes highly recommended. Thanks for watching this review, and I'll see you again soon.